Shining Vale Episode 3 starts with Pat on the TV show with the host who has half of her face is hanging off, due to the incident with the bus at the end of Episode 2. The host is sick all over the camera, and then Pat wakes up. What makes it more terrifying is she wakes up covered in period blood. Pat is desperately looking for a sanitary towel when Gaynor walks in, and Pat asks her if she has any she could borrow. Gaynor hilariously states, "It's not like sharing your Netflix password," and is dismissive and insulting about Pat being too old to have a period. Pat and Terry visit their therapist again, and Pat reveals that she has started having periods again, which the therapist instantly dismisses. Terry wants to know why Pat hit him with the axe, and she claims it was because of her mental health. The therapist suggests it could be a lot of unsaid things over time that has led to this tension. Pat and the therapist agree that Terry should return to his old job, as this might help to jog his memory. So, Terry does go back to work and is greeted by Catherine, and can feel there was something between them. Catherine doesn't tell him too much. Terry returns home, and asks Laird whether he ever brought Catherine up in conversation, but he doesn't say anything, despite knowing. Terry finds a letter in his drawer that he wrote, and he admits to kissing Catherine in it. He concludes that this is why Pat attacked him with the axe, and believes the whole thing was his fault. Pat is feeling younger and happier, due to the herbs given to her by her neighbor. But the downside to all this is the return of her periods. Pat is at a book signing for her new novel, and she tells the woman who sold the house to her that she knows Ruth from somewhere. The lady looks nervous until Pat reveals they knew each other from a group they used to go to in the city. What does she know about the mysterious neighbor? Terry prepares a surprise for Pat that involves wine and strawberries. Pat returns home and disappoints Terry when she says she's an alcoholic and also can't eat strawberries. He tells her he knows about the affair, with Pat thinking he means her affair, but she then realizes he means his, and she keeps it this way. They eat chocolate made by Ruth with her special herbs, and they end up having sex that evening. Gaynor overhears this and takes it as a sign that she can go to college without worrying that her mom will lose the plot again, with things seemingly settling down again. At the end of the episode, Pat hallucinates that Ruth and other women are surrounding her and holding a seance while a goat violates her. Pat wakes up from the nightmare, but was it real? The costume hand of the goat on the floor suggests it was. The episode review: this week's episode of Shining Vale Season 2 is the funniest of the whole series so far. The writing is so sharp and every scene just nails it. However, the comedy doesn't detract from the creepiness, with some really unsettling scenes, one of which involves a TV host's head hanging off in one of Pat's nightmares. It's funny, and then it's scary, and then it's both at the same time. It suddenly hits you that half an hour has flown by, and there's another week to wait for the next installment. The supporting cast are brilliant, but Courtney Cox deserves a lot of credit for leading this outstanding show.